Hey, welcome back, friends. Today we're going to be talking about how to make a little bit of extra money off of the Grand Exchange with Double Experience Weekend in mind. If you don't already know, Double Experience Weekend causes massive shifts in the amount that everything costs due to the fact that people are training skills they usually don't train, or they may be trying to make extra money somewhere else in order to buy things to train during Double Experience Weekend. So I'm going to talk about how to make money no matter what time period you are in with Double Experience Weekend in mind. This guide will be split into 4 different sections. I do recommend just watching them all through if you are curious about long-term flipping or merchanting. But if you are just interested in how to make money right now for yourself, you may want to skip around in this. Before we get any further, I do want to define a couple of terms I'm going to be using in this guide. The first one is flipping and the second one is investing. Now, flipping is going to be the act of buying an item off of the GE and then immediately flipping it back to just small margins. You're going to be wanting to do it as quickly as possible and just trying to figure out what somebody right now is willing to buy and sell the item for. This is relatively safe. Obviously, you do have to be worrying about fluctuations in the price on a minute-to-minute basis, but in general, you're not going to be losing large sums of money if you are just doing flipping properly, at least. On the other term, we are going to be looking at investing. Now, investing is going to be buying something with the expectation that it will be going up in price. This is very volatile and hard to do on a long-term basis for most items, but Double Experience Weekend is going to be giving us a very strong advantage with investing, making it actually a viable option even with very minimal amount of game knowledge. The first time period that I want to talk about is in between the announcement for Double Experience Weekend and the actual Double Experience Weekend. This time period shifts so commonly which one is actually profitable and what is good to do during this time period that it's going to take a little bit of finagling in order to make some money during this time period. The first thing that I want to do is say do not invest during this time period. As I just said, there are large fluctuations in price. That means that you may be trying to make some extra money and actually lose tons of money. There's so many people trying to invest during this time period because it used to be really good a couple years back that reasonably it's probably a bad idea if you want to be a safe investor to invest during this time period unless you have a large amount of knowledge for this game. What I would recommend doing during this time period is actually flipping. If you can check my history of the Grand Exchange, as you can see, a lot of these items have very small margins. I did manage to find Royal Dragon Leather that did have a 180 GP margin, but a lot of these margins are like 25, 30 GP in between buying and selling the item. During Double Experience Weekend, this expands into much larger margins because the uncertainty of pricing makes it so that less people actually want to jump into the market buying items and trying to flip them around. And on top of that, a lot of people are actually buying supplies to prepare for Double Experience Weekend. So that means you get a lot of people that are utilizing the Grand Exchange without the actual idea of trying to make money with investing or flipping. And you can have these margins be as high as like 700-800 GP just because somebody wanted to buy 100,000 Royal Dragon Leathers or something and were willing to pay a very high price because they need them during Double Experience Weekend, which is only a couple days away. So realistically, flipping is going to be your best option. If you do want me to go into a more in-depth guide on flipping, I can do that in the future. Let me know down in the comments, but for right now, just go ahead and search profit margins and try to find the best profit margin you can and buy low, sell high. The next time period that I want to talk about is during Double Experience Weekend. Now during Double Experience Weekend, prices are going to be fluctuating wildly, which is good for flipping and merchanting. Now flipping is going to be very good because the margins again are going to be stretched out to a very large margin. This is going to happen mainly on the Friday and early Saturday of Double Experience Weekend. So one thing that you can do if you're really worried about making some extra money is actually do flipping during the start of Double Experience Weekend instead of training the skills that you were planning on training. And then towards the end of Saturday into Sunday is when you're going to want to be training all your skills. This is going to save you money just from selling items that you produce, as well as actually making you some extra money from flipping. I personally don't do flipping during this time period because of the fluctuation in prices and because I do like to train my skills throughout all of Double Experience Weekend. But it is entirely up to you whether or not you care more about the money or the experience. On the other hand, investing is a very good idea. Very small time investment for investing, and you can make some serious profit. Now, I do want to share with you a couple of the things that I invested in. I don't recommend using these items specifically, but it kind of gives you the idea of the items that you're going to want to invest in. Royal Dragon hide bodies I decided to invest in, and that was because they are a production from crafting. I bought a couple of different pouches for summoning. I bought some ascension bolts from fletching, people that make all the ascension bolts, and from Herblore I bought some prayer renewals. Now, again, I don't want to say these items are going to be good for you specifically, because if too many people start merchanting them, it actually decreases the amount of money that you can make from merchanting them. So you're going to want to find your own items. But one thing I do want to caution you on, because this happened to me, was with something like prayer renewals that are used every single day, no matter what. Doesn't matter before, during, after Double Experience Weekend. Prayer renewals are used in PvP, PvE content everywhere. So they actually jumped up in price without me noticing. I didn't actually plan out my investments quite as well as I should have. I just decided to do it during Double Experience Weekend and just looked at a couple of graphs and didn't realize that prayer renewals had actually jumped up 2,000 GP during the month and a half before Double Experience Weekend. So when I bought these prayer renewals at 7,500 GP, I thought I was making a massive profit. But realistically, the 7,500 GP was just going back down to the price that they realistically should be at, not necessarily making you any extra money. So be careful about items that are inflated or have a bubble around them. These are usually going to be items that are used very often. But things like Royal Dragon hide bodies that are used relatively often, but not an everyday purchase of buying thousands of them, they should be a little bit safer to invest in. Directly after Double Experience Weekend, there's not a whole lot that you can do to really be making money. So the first thing you're going to be doing is selling off all your investments. You don't want to be taking any losses unless you absolutely have to, but you don't want to be holding on to items for a long period of time unless if you know that their price is going to be going up, because there may be an update in the future that makes these items less relevant or make them cost less money. So in my personal opinion, I try to get rid of my investments within the first week or two, just so that I don't have to hold on to them forever and risk as little as possible. Now, if you do want to do some flipping, I know that during this time period, a lot of people are going to be rebuying their combat equipment so that they can start remaking all the money that they were losing out on. So if you are to buy some mid to high tier weapons, something like the Decimation Bow, 400, 500,000 GP, you can get decent margins on these things just from flipping them. Also, if you buy them right at the end of Double Experience Weekend, a lot of times these prices will be going up, so it may be a relatively decent long-term investment as well. Like I said, long-term investments do require some risk, but if you are willing to take the risk, this is a decent option to long-term invest in as well. And the last time period that we have to talk about is the large void in between Double Experience Weekends. After a couple of weeks, all the prices go back down to their average prices for all the things that people train up during Double Experience Weekend. So this is when you're going to want to be buying up all of your herbs and all of your potion supplies, summoning supplies, all that kind of stuff. You're going to want to be buying these to invest in until the next announcement of Double Experience Weekend. During the announcement is when all of these items jack up in price like crazy, all the way up until Double Experience Weekend. So this is the new time period to be investing in. It means that you are going to be investing in something and holding on to it for sometimes 3, 4, 5 months before you actually get any returns on that investment. So make sure that you're aware that you may not be getting your money back anytime soon, and that this is money that you don't actually need in the short term for any of your short-term goals, because you actually could lose a lot of money on all these investments if you are not willing to wait until the next announcement for Double Experience Weekend. But if you do wait until the next Double Experience announcement, you can make some serious cash. This is where you get the majority of your money. Hopefully this all helps you guys make as much money as you possibly can off the Grand Exchange with correlation to the Double Experience Weekend. If it did, leave that like button down below. Also leave a comment and subscribe to my channel if you want to see all my future content. As always though, have a good one.